Hello and welcome to our new lecture that is about planning in SAP Analytics Cloud. How we can plan in the SAP Analytics Cloud, and how the enterprises do planning practically and do budgeting, planning and forecasting by using the SAP Analytics Cloud. So this is a new series of lectures in which we will explore all these things in detail. So first of all, in this video we will understand what is planning and what is budgeting, and last but not least what is forecasting. So this is a practical guide to the fundamental of continuous planning, budgeting and forecasting, as I said. So let's move on. First of all, let's find the advantage and the disadvantage of not doing the planning properly with the proper communication. So, if the sales, HR, IT, and finance are not doing planning with the proper direction, with the proper communication, the enterprise will get fractured. So the proper communication between all main departments like sales, HR, finance, and IT is must. So let's move on. So SAP Analytics Cloud act as a master orchestra. So we understand the problem for getting the good planning, that the communication between department is going to be must for to grow any enterprise. So the SAP Analytics Cloud fills the gap of this problem, and it helped the best companies plan across the entire enterprise. So SAP Analytics Cloud provides a overarching framework to orchestrate the planning, bridging the gap between existing disparate tool and unified future strategy. It's mean that SAP Analytics Cloud provide a perfect product which incorporate in which fills the gap between all these core departments, so then they can move forward in a proper direction with the unified modeling. So let's move on. The three pillars of enterprise navigation. What are the three pillars? First one is planning, and the second one is budgeting, and the third one is forecasting. So in the planning phase, organization have to plan 1 to 10 year. So in this phase, the organization finds what is possible. It provides the overall process for charting the direction and financial objective of an organization. In the second phase, the organization do the 1 year, one year plan, which is called the budgeting. So, what is expected to the near 1 year? The organization plan decide that what is the execution for the first year, and what is the prime goals, what are the small goals of organization to achieve in this first year, and based on this they approve all the financial thing, all the budget, all the finances based on this budgeting. Last but not least, based on the actual facts at the end of the first year, based on the actuals, the organization do the forecasting for the next year, for the next 18 to 12 months plan. So it's all the forecasting always use the actual performance data to continuous project the remainder of the current year. So because this is based on the actual, that is why the chances of failure, the chances of loss in this scenario will be very minimal. Let's move on. Planning established the ultimate destination and the route to get there. So, if the organization wants to grow properly and meets the expectation of the management, so the organization have to set the overall goal of defining objective of the enterprise, and for the sake of for the implementation, for getting the perfect objective, for getting the derived objective, the organization have to plan the long range plan. So the strategic plan or any plan divide into 3 to 10 year plan, and in this tenure, the organization sets the financial target and also the revenue target for the enterprise. So after that thing, the organization made the coming 1 year plan, that is called annual plan. So it isolate and define the crucial first year of the long range plan. So let's say, for example, we have to build our house, and for this we plan that we will build our house in the 3 years. So but for the first year we have to make the annual plan. So based on for the at the first step we have to construct the foundation. So for only for the foundation we have to plan only for the foundation for the first year. So same as this, we have to the enterprise have to plan the 1 year, that is called the annual plan. Let's move on. Translating a strategic vision into an annual financial mandate. So, what we have discussed earlier? This is a practical example of all these things. That the first of all, we have to make the strategic plan. The enterprise have to make a strategic plan. Like for example, this organization want to become the leading European retailer by 2029. So, um, so after this, it planned the long range plan, fund expansion into Germany and France over a 5 year period, projected capital requirement £50 million. So, first of all, based on the strategic plan, the organization, the enterprise made the 5 year long range plan to expand its business to the Germany and the France, and for this they expected the capital of £50 million. So, based on the long range plan, the annual plan for the 1 year is committed that it secure the £10 million immediately for real estate scouting and initial market research. So uh, based on for achieving the long range plan, the enterprise plan that for the first year the enterprise have to do some estate is scouting and initial market research, and for this the enterprise budgeted the £10 million for this immediately. Hope you understand what's going on in this video, and this is a perfect example of what the planning is. Let's move on. So now we are focusing the 1 year plan for planning, for doing the budgeting, that is called the 1 year plan. The budgeting engineers strict parameters for execution. So because we have fixed our target for the first year, we have fixed our capital of investment for the first year. So based on this, the budgeting engineers do the things across the different department across the different parts of enterprises. So these are the main four departments of any enterprise, that is sales, finance, and operations, and the HR. So sales budget, the gross margin, a revenue targets required to fund the operations, whereas the finance made the capital expenditure a major investment in physical or long term asset, and the HR budgeted the hiring of personnel, and how many headcounts will be required, how many resource will be required to achieve the first year plan. And last but not least, the operation expenses also has to be budgeted, uh, because because if it increase from our budget, then the mm, the whole thing will happen wrongly. So the operating expenses are day-to-day spending limit required to keep the business running. All these four factors, all these four sections, all these four steps, all the combination of all the departments budgeting makes the enterprise annual plan. Departmental execution turns the annual plan into daily reality. The annual plan mandate launch a new enterprise product line in quarter 3. So, in this slide, we are exploring an example for the annual plan. Let's say the HR headcount budget authorized to because our target is to launch the enterprise target is to launch a new product line in quarter 3. For this, the HR headcount roster will be made, and headcount budget will be executed based on the target. So HR authorized to hire precisely 3 senior developers and 2 marketing specialists by the end of quarter 2, because we have to execute our plan into quarter 3. That is why we have to achieve the HR target in the at the end of till the end of quarter 2. So the what will do the marketing department? The marketing spend the operating expenses budget. So uh, as we have to achieve the launch the product line in quarter 3, and the marketing department have to allocate the 250,000 pound for quarter 3 digital advertising and launch event. So launching of a product always required some events, some advertising. So the operating expenses budget, we have to increase the operating expenses budget in the quarter 3. Let's move on. So we have discussed planning, we have discussed budgeting, and now the third section is about forecasting. The forecasting forces an immediate collision with reality. It's mean that as we have budgeted all the things, as we have planned all the things for the enterprise, but the forecasting is will be not will not be correct if it's not based on the actual. That is why forecasting is always based on the actual. So budgets are always static, but the business is dynamic. Forecasting uses actual performance data to project the remainder of the current year. It's mean that the that always we use always the actual performance data of the enterprise to forecasting the remainder years of the enterprise. Business always based on the actual ground reality. Let's say we have budgeted the 250 pound for any task, and the one another point is the rolling forecast. What is a rolling forecast? It's continuously resetting expectation for a predefined future period. January 12 to 18 month, shifting forward regardless of the calendar year end. It means that we continuously forecasting our 12 to 18 month period of the business based on the actuals. So that is very important, because if we don't find the real data, the actual facts of the business, we can't do proper forecasting, we can't do proper planning, we can't do proper budgeting. So forecasting is very important for any enterprise. Let's move on. Adapting to description through a rolling 18-month forecast. That is what we have discussed, that we have the actuals of 1 to 6 month. Let's say supply chain. This is a example. In this slide we are going to explore an example of the forecasting, that the supply chain bottleneck delay stock arrival real sales track 10% below the rigid budget. So because of the supply chain, because we don't have our stocks, we don't have our raw material um, at the time. That is why the product, our product is not manufactured at the right time. That is why the sales are below the 10% what is expected in the budget. So this is a reality, this is a real facts about any business. uh, and for this we have to make adjustment for the next months, in next month, for like in this example, for the next 7 to 12 months. And the business, the decision makers made a movement that they acknowledge reality. Leadership reduces quarter four marketing spend and pivots to pushing existing inventory. So uh, for the quarter four, the marketing budget reduces and adjusted according to the finance, according to the real budgeting. So for the 12 and 18 month, and they looks looking beyond December, they looks beyond the December, and the team project a full revenue recovery by quarter two of the following year based on newly signed supplier contracts. So let's understand the point. So in actual, for the first to 6 month, we the business face a difficulty, that is why sales down. So for achieving the proper budget, for achieving the proper target, the sales team has to work beyond the limits, beyond the expectation, and they have to get any new project very immediately, to cover the loss which was happened into the first quarter of the year. So this is a strategy, and the management, the business look forward for each and every point about the business, because this is very important to achieve to within the budget, and to achieve the targets on time. And the management have to do quick and proper decision for getting the business into loss. So this is very important for any enterprise. Let's move on. So let's discuss the strategy which enterprises should have to adopt. So first of all, top down planning. Drive driven by the leadership targets, executive mandate specific financial outcome, for example, achieve 10% overall growth, which are then divided among department. So this is the top in the top down planning. The management decide what have to what the organization will do, what the departments will achieve during this financial year. So all the decision, all the outcome comes from the top management. Whereas in the second strategy, this is called the bottom up planning. So it is driven by the operational realities. Whereas as compared to the top down planning, in which the leadership targets, leadership are the force which execute the planning, whereas in this bottom up planning, the individuals are the force which are doing the planning. So individual teams calculate their maximum operational capacity, which is aggregated upwards to form the company target. So each individual make their own target, which aggregate into the company's target. So this is called the bottom up planning, where the planning goes from the low level to the high level. Last but not least, there is also an approach that is hybrid approach. So in this approach, both of the strategy, that is top down planning and that is bottom up planning, both strategies combine, and that strategy will be called the hybrid planning. So best and companies meet in the middle. SAC Analytics Cloud facilitate the complex, continuous negotiation between executive vision and the frontline reality. So, in order to apply the hybrid approach, both scenarios, both approaches should be followed. So, in this, some of the if the organization wants at some part the leadership plan, so SAC and its cloud facilitate in this way. If the enterprise wants to plan from the bottom up, from the employee level, so the SAP and its cloud also facilitates to negotiate the employee with the management. So at last, outcome of this approach, uh, a very attractive, a very beneficial financial planning will happen for the with the help of SAP and its cloud. Expanding the analytical vocabulary. When you hear these terms discussed, you are looking at a prime SAC and its cloud planning opportunity. So let's do familiar with the three words, three very repetitive words. While we will do some exercise, while we will do detailed studying about the planning in SAP Analytics Cloud. So there are three main words that is called the first one is types of planning, and the second one is driver based planning, and the third one is scenario planning. Let's find the types of planning. There are the strategic, financial planning, operational planning, centralized, decentralized, and departmental planning. Second one is driver based planning, adjusting core business drivers. For example, if inflation rise 2%, how does that actually impact gross margin? So this is a driver-based planning, that if one thing is going to be wrong, is going to be in a difficult in the opposite direction. So what the planning will happen, what the adjustment will do based on this this driver. So it's called the driver based planning. So the one factor, the any crucial, any unique factor drives the planning. And the third one is scenario planning. So conducting what if analysis to test alternate business realities before they happen. So this is a very important, a very interesting feature of SAC Analytics Cloud, that it provides the what if analysis to the business, because before starting the planning, the business have to study what if what if the factor, any factor will be low, what if any factor will be increased, and what is the effect, what will be the effect of any factor if it's increases, if it's decreases. Let's say the government applies some tax, some new tax percentage on our business. So the business, the enterprise, the management have to plan accordingly. That is why they found the what if analysis. What if the if the what if the government applies the 15% tax on our business, what if the government applies the 30% of tax on our business. So what will be our target, what will be the pros and cons of on our business. That is that analyze before the planning. So this is very important, this is very beneficial feature of SAP Analytics Cloud, that it helps to analyze the what if analysis very easily. So, the heart of the enterprise is the central data model. So, for do all the planning, budgeting, and forecasting, SAP Analytics Cloud provide a central model in which all these happens in a single unit. So, all planning operations, methods, and departmental functions rely on one essential foundation. The universe task of coordination is only solved when the entire enterprise creates, adjusts, and executes against a single unified data model within SAP and its cloud. So, SAP Analytics Cloud, by using the SAP Analytics Cloud, a business can do plan, a business can do budgeting, a business can do forecasting based on the actuals very easily and very uniformly. So this is a very unique functions, very unique idea behind the SAP Analytics Cloud, which empowers the business very easily. So SAP Analytics Cloud is also called the continuous engine for the intelligent enterprise. So the enterprise can be intelligent if it do the planning, budgeting, and forecasting in a very efficient manner. The data, the information which are showing in this slide is also is the same which we have discussed earlier, that based on that we can do planning of the 10-year, and when we execute our plan we found the actual, and based on the actual we adopt the rolling forecast budget accordingly. So, as a summary, SAP Analytics Cloud transforms chaos into orchestrated strategy. So, you do not need to be a technical data architect to orchestrate change, recognize the opportunity, bring in the planning expert, and lay the foundation for an intelligent enterprise. So, with the help of SAP Analytics Cloud, the organization don't need the technical data architect, and the organization can do planning, can do budgeting, and can have the forecasting based on the actual in a very easy and a simple way. So that is all for today. In the coming lecture, we will explore practically each part, each section of what we have discussed in this video. First of all, we will explore the planning, and then we will do some budgeting, and last but not least, based on the actual, we will adjust our budget according to the actual, and based on that actuals, we will do some forecasting by using the great tool SAP Analytics Cloud Planning.